Hey, what's up, my friends? David Huffaker again. I'm a mega agent in Nashville, Tennessee, and I give mega agent options. So I'm joined again by our second time, right? It's the Aaron and David show. We must not have failed too bad, Aaron. We got invited back.
There you
Uh,
go.
given that that it's our recording studio, we're gonna get invited back. But thanks for being with me again, man. I know it's a pleasure to chat with you before, but want to talk a little bit more again today. Cole, how you been?
It's good. We're just, it's a challenging market. It's a challenging time, I think, for a lot of people. I don't think I'm immune to to all the things that are going on. But man, it's a good day. The sun's shining and there's always a chance it's going to break at any time.
That's right. That's right. No, you and I were talking before we hopped on here, and so just wanted to hit record and kind of continue the conversation, but really try to offer some authenticness and transparency about, the challenging parts of being a business owner, right? The stressful parts of the leadership journey that we're on, especially in a harder market. And so let's continue to kind of talk about that. We talked about um, it being an inside of the outside
Yeah.
role or inside of the outside job, and that happiness being a choice. And so it's going through the day, not necessarily reacting to what's happening to me and allowing that to dictate my happiness. Gary Keller's always told me, he's like, David, you've got to learn to compartmentalize your joy in life and everything else that's happening. So, where are you at on that journey right now? Where's your mind at? How do you think about that?
One of the tenets. I do a lot of coaching and talking to real estate agents quite a bit. And one of the tenets of that is nothing on the outside changes until something on the inside changes. And I sort of look at that as the same way I look at nature. Nothing in nature grows from the outside in, right? It all grows from the inside out. So the power really is in the core of the inside, and then as it begins to grow, whatever it is, if it's an oak tree or whatever is a bamboo shoot or whatever, it just adds layers to that core. And I think too many of us, I mean, I know me personally, I'll just speak for me personally, I'll be super vulnerable here. When I'm really when I'm not in a good spot, right? When I think things are when I'm very frustrated or I feel overly challenged, it typically is a result of me looking at the outside. It is typically me looking for something on the outside, right, that is going to make me feel better on the inside. And that's the opposite way. That's not the way it works, right? You gotta really focus, especially in times like this, especially when things aren't going as well. And again, we talked about this the last show, and I don't know if anybody's going to go back and watch this again, but we talked about, I think before, how easy it was in 21, in 20, and in 22. And especially if you got in this business then, I mean, you could have got in this business with a head full of hair and look like me right now. So I want to. The thing for me is really taking control of my thoughts, man. Taking control of what it is on the inside, focusing on me, focusing on whatever I've got to do to try to move my ball just a little bit down the field to make myself better in the period of time I've got between the time the sun comes up and the time the sun goes down. I'm gonna try to figure out a way to make myself better, and then just let whatever is going to happen on the outside happen on the outside.
Yeah, here's how I like to think about that. The emotion is the journey, and no one ever promised us that every emotion would be positive or happiness or joy. So when we talk about, focus on the journey, not the destination, as I get older, the more I lean into that. Well, my favorite quote ever is, "No man ever walks through the same river twice, for he's not the same man, and it's not the same river." And you think about who
Yeah,
you are on your journey. And as you're kind of going through that, you recognize that, like, no, it was never promised to me that every day would be easy or that every emotion would be positive. But the journey is a connection of emotion, right? From the
yeah,
highs to the lows. But even when you think back to all the hard things you've faced in your life and all the disappointments and all the letdowns and all the times people told you you weren't good enough and honestly, let's not even talk about what other people say. Let's talk about all the times you say it to
right.
yourself, right? I mean, I told my 18-year-old the other day, I said, what's funny? You better learn to talk to yourself because you're going to be with yourself a lot for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
And so you better watch the words that are coming out of your mouth. The way that we talk to ourselves matters so much. And happiness is a choice. And I'm going to be real honest. It's a cute bumper sticker and I love it on a t-shirt. And some days I don't care, right? Some days I get kind of tired of being punched in the stomach. Some
Yep.
days I get tired of people telling me I'm not enough for them, right? Some days I get tired of, pouring my heart out in what I believe to be the right way to try to serve people, only to be told that I'm not doing a great job for them or that they found something else that they choose to go do better. And you try to sit there with servant-based leadership and tell yourself everything that we're saying right now, right? It's an inside of the
Yep.
outside. Happiness is a choice. You got to persevere to grow, and yet it doesn't make the hurt any less, right? Like it doesn't take the sting out. And I'm going to tell you just from like, I told you a minute ago, like I feel like I've been kicked in the stomach 25 times this week. And the only thing right now, Aaron, honestly, that brings me patience with it is I go, man, God's got to be doing something cool right now, right? Like
Yeah.
there's got to be some way that I'm being forged that like I'm about to get my cape.
We know
So,
what's it to kind of to that point, nothing truly nothing beneficial comes to us in any part of our life without some struggle. Like
yeah,
none of us go watch a movie where the hero everything's wonderful.
yeah,
Like when they're born into privilege, when everything that they touch turns to gold, and they end up with the most beautiful girl at the end of the story, and it's a happy ending. Nobody goes and sees those movies. Those movies
yeah,
don't sell, right? You got to have that challenge. You got to get punched in the guts. You got to get kicked in the stomach. You got to walk out of some kind of battle bloody to grow, to get stronger, to get people to rally around you. And it's funny that like right now in this industry. I was just reading two or three articles before we jumped on, and if you look at there's some tea leaves you look at and you're like, holy crap, this is going to get bad again. And then there's obviously the people that say, nah, it's okay, pump the brakes, it's going to be all right. Then you got the other ones that say, oh man, next week it's going to be all fantastic. So I guess in this, what do you believe,
well,
right?
what is the old Chinese proverb? And I think I've done this before and I always butcher it, but it's the old Chinese man that's like someone steals his horse and the whole town's like, oh, that sucks. And he goes, maybe. Right.
Right?
Like I'll tell you, I heard this TikTok the other day and I started doing it. And so I haven't been doing it long. As a coach, I like to listen to other people's models and theories. But essentially, it said when something bad happens, write it down and write the date next to it, and then leave two open lines below it. And I want you to go write the date down in the first line below it of a month from now, and I want you to write the date down of 3 months from now on the second line. And I want you to come back a month from now and 3 months from now and really see how that bad thing, that thing that seemed so horrible, played out over time.
Yeah.
Was it a blessing in disguise, right? Like, was it something that ended up, or did it really? And so I actually started doing that not just with things that are negative, but things that are positive. You ever had something where you're like, oh, yeah, this is going to be awesome, right? Like, what a blessing. And then a month later, I'm like, okay, that wasn't a
Yeah.
blessing at all.
Why
Right?
the
Like,
heck
that
did I
was
do
a train
that?
wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so I just think perspective,
Yeah.
I think as you mature and get
Yeah.
older, time gives you that perspective to kind of go like, maybe, right? Like, let's see how it plays out. And knowing that whether the market goes up or down or not, again, internally, who you are is going to be shaped and molded and you're being perfected. Every day I figure if I open my eyes, I haven't reached my full potential or become who
Yep.
God intended me to be yet. And so I go, what is it today that I get to be forged by fire to become that warrior that
Man.
Christ is trying to use
Yeah.
me for? And with that perspective, I can take a hit and go, all right, this sucks,
Yeah.
right? I'm not going to act like it doesn't. And so what now? What, right?
So,
What's next?
so a couple of things. One, and I'm going to go back to something kind of it's sort of in relation to what you said earlier. A buddy of mine told me years and years and years ago, there really is nothing that's positive or negative on the earth, right? Everything's
Yes,
neutral.
perspective.
Everything's
Yep.
neutral, and it's our reaction to that, whatever it is, that makes it positive or negative, right? So
Yep.
if you think about that, and then in terms of not that you have to do it, but you get to do it, right? Not that it's an obligation, but it's an opportunity. And I think if you look at things, even in this environment, where when you talk to people, clients, prospects, people at Publix, people at other industry leaders, when you're having these conversations and everybody's like, man, well, how's the market? Market sucks. It's going to tank. It's going to blow up. Everybody that you talk to saying, oh, I'm waiting for the market to crash. I mean, you let enough of that come in, right? And you rely on your human frailty. You rely on those emotions. You're looking to the outside to get some confirmation of how you should be feeling on the inside. That's a recipe for disaster,
Yeah.
right? That's a recipe for
Don't
disaster.
yeah, don't let people tell you how to think, right? It's one of
Yeah,
those things where so many people walking around as sheep, not using their gray matter between their ears to lead their own life and just reacting to what they're being told. Like you see this in politics, you see this in a lot of things in our society. And ultimately, my coach said something the other day is like, if you don't know what you want, I'm going to tell you how to think,
yeah,
right? And it's like, if you don't know what you want, you're letting other people dictate how you think, which ultimately is all that we have to really make heads or tails of what's going on in the world around us. I love what you said earlier. Everything is neutral. I'll tell you, in like my journey with Christ, when I was younger, I would have thought when something bad happened or when something good happened, that was in relation to, how good of a person I was
yeah,
being. And I've just looked up and realized that like life's just life, right? The world is created the world that it's created, and that doesn't have any relative bearing on whether I did the right things or didn't do the right things, right? Whether I'm in the right space. Given, I know there are certain things that will provide blessings within our life, and yet we all have to understand, like you just said, life is neutral. How we choose to react to it. It's funny. I told you I called my mom earlier, and she was like, "Man, look at how blessed you are. Your beautiful children, and the home that you live in, and the cars you drive, and the businesses you own, and the people that want your attention and follow you, and your example that you're." And I'm sitting there going like, "Dude, she makes it sound awesome."
who is she talking about?
I know, and I'm sitting there going like, but mom, you don't get like the responsibility, the
Yeah,
pressure, and I'm looking up and going, she's right. I
yeah,
mean, what a blessing it is for all of us, whether independent of what you have, but the fact that you're getting to wake up on this playground and live a free life, we're so blessed. And so I think our perspective on that comes into play, but it doesn't prevent you from needing to get up and so what now, what, go do something, right?
yeah. And so I've got a bunch of kids, right? So one of my kids, she it's I used to call her Eeyore because she was the one that was always like Eeyore on Winnie the Pooh. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
care. She could be at Disney World, sunshine, and Mickey Mouse holding her hand, and she'd be pissed off. And like I'm like, you've got to relax a little bit and enjoy life. And it continued when she went off to college. She'd call and she'd be upset, and I said, here, here's all I want you to do. I want you every single day to wake up and write 10 things down you're grateful for. I don't care if you're grateful for Cheerios. I don't care if you're grateful because the lights came on. I don't care what it is. Just be grateful. And then after you do that, I want you to call me and tell me how mad you are. Because here's the deal. Light doesn't exist. The dark can't exist in light, right? And when you're
That's right.
grateful and in a spirit of gratitude, you can't be mad. You can't be angry and upset and grateful at the same time. It is absolutely impossible. And so there's
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
things to
You
your
got to be
point.
stressed and grateful.
Yeah. So there are so many things that we have to be grateful for. Even so, that would be my encouragement, for folks that when you get to a spot where it feels like the sky is falling, when it gets to the spot where you think, oh my gosh, I've got to go find another job, because I promise you there are tons of real estate agents right now out there in the world, out there in the industry that are contemplating going to get a job, quitting, giving up, and all those things. And I don't know, maybe there's some that should. There's probably some that shouldn't. But I'll say this. I would encourage you, when you're getting to that place where it feels super frustrating. I did it this morning. I woke up, morning routine, a little frustrated last night when I went to bed, tried to wake up in a good spirit, and started being grateful. And I just wrote down some things that I was super, super grateful for. And it changed the outlook of my day. I mean, it truly changed the trajectory of my day.
Yeah, isn't it funny how even just a song or a moment I mean, to me, it's the most valuable thing of working out, right? It's why I think all top performers have some workout routine or health plan, because you
Yep.
start to recognize the endorphins and all the secondary benefits of getting your mind in that space to where it is, action creates action, and that positivity. Gary Keller always says to us, don't get sued and have enough money to outlast your mistakes. And as people are kind of going through, I want to talk to top performers for just a minute, because I think it's funny as every person across the industry that I'm speaking to right now, is struggling to turn a profit. So if that's you guys, if you're out there right now and you're going, I'm not making a lot of money, my business is breaking even, or my business is losing money, or every month I'm going in the hole, just know that you're not alone,
Yep.
right? That if someone is telling you that they're crushing it, they're probably either have something unique happening, but it's for the majority. And I'll tell you, I would almost say 9 out of 10, almost 90% of the people I talk to right now are trying to figure out this new landscape, right? The cheese has moved. We thought it would bounce back. Now we're 2 years into it. We likely have at least another 2 years before we really see any significant movement in the market. And I can tell you a lot of my agents had their best year ever. Every team that I coach was up over 35% in 2024. And so you go, there is a way through, and this too shall pass. So ultimately, if you're struggling to turn a profit right now in your business, persevere, right?
Yeah.
Those getting out of the business will make headway for those of us taking market share to at some point as the market rebounds, the ones of us that are left will be able to get our unfair share. The other thing that I see is that, again, speaking to top team owners or top businesses across the country, nobody wants to work, right? And so if you're running into this struggle of I can't get my agents to lead generate, I can't get them to show up, I can't get them to make calls, I can't get them to do the open houses, again, you're not alone. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that provides you with a solution, but there should be some silver lining there to let you know that it's not you that's the problem, right? There is a wave that everyone is experiencing right now. And so now what are you going to go do about it? That's where you need a great coach like Aaron or someone to walk you through the so what, now what? What are we going to do? What's the obstacle? What's the path? Let's get after it. But just know that it's not you, right? I don't want all the agents out there to
Yeah.
know that like we're seeing this a lot. And so I hope that gives you some peace of mind, and get up and find a coach like me or Aaron that's talking to people this is happening to, because you're going to get there faster when we all start to collaborate and have conversations around it, right?
Yeah. And so a couple of things. And every now and again in a battle, the leader's got to pick up the sword and go fight.
That's
you
right.
know and this may be one of those times to that if you are a top performer, you've got a top team, and your agents, you can't motivate them from behind to do something. It may be time for you to get out front and pull them, right? It may be time for you to get out in front and show them and give them an example, because every now and again, humans, what we'll do is we'll perceive challenges, and we'll let those perceived challenges stop us from action. But if you can somehow break down the door, if you can somehow alleviate that challenge and or show them a way, a lot of times the people on your team will follow you and be led by your example. So this could
Yeah.
be a time when it's time for you to pick up the sword and go do it yourself, right?
Yeah,
So
it's how the mighty fall, right? I mean, it's number one, hubris born of success, right? Thinking that somehow you have got to a point in your career. I was just telling somebody a minute ago, like we're still a small business, right? We're no different than the bakery on the corner, right? We have a product, we
yeah,
have a need to drive
yeah,
revenue, we have to have employees, and we have to make a profit. Like hubris born of success, guys. We're business owners and realtors, right? Get down in there and figure out what has to happen. If you got to get back on the phones, if you got to get back out and showing homes again, if you've got to be the one in there writing the 10 days of gain campaign in your
right.
CRM, that's what you do. You roll up your sleeves as a small business owner and you go do it, man,
Just
for
get after
sure.
it.
Yeah. And then neglecting your primary flywheel. Hey, I think that book was written about me. I'm raising my hand wherever that camera is.
Which
Like neglecting the primary flywheel of
oh
keeping the main thing,
yeah
right? Over the last 5 years, I've had the luxury of building umpteen businesses. Which one of those are not serving the bottom line and the ultimate goal now? And being able to say, your success is not built off what you say yes to. Your success is built off what you say no to. And now's the time you've really got to back up and go, I've got to say no to certain things in my life. The business is the baby, right? And the baby comes first,
yeah.
right?
You said something earlier, and I think this is the other piece, man. You've got to this is one of those times where back to basics maybe where we are. Like getting back to basics, maybe what this is. And you said earlier, there's so many things that pull at us in this business. There's so many things that there's so many. Obviously, social media is that double-edged sword, right? Facebook and Instagram and all those things that you market on that are probably a necessity to your business for most of us. It's a double-edged sword because it's also a pacifier, right?
Yeah.
And so in these moments and in this time where we have to have that security blanket and that pacifier because our emotions are completely out of whack because we're again looking to the outside for something to come in that's not coming, right? You got to be super super careful that you stay focused. You got to be super super careful that you keep your eyes focused blinders on, focused on what you've got to do. You're going to have to what you just said, man, eliminate those things that not necessarily that don't matter, because everything to some degree matters, but there are some things that matter more. And getting back to the basics, finding those basic tenets, the basic blocks of this business, and putting your focus on those, I think that's a super, super important point. Second point, yes, find a coach. Yes, find somebody like David or me to come give you some encouragement. But if you can't do that, you need to make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. Because I'm telling you, you surround yourself with people who are going to commiserate in your misery, and you surround yourself with people who are going to talk about the same story that you talk about. And I promise you, you're going to find yourself in a deeper, darker hole.
Yeah, amen. Amen. I want to encourage people like whatever it is that you're intimidated by doing right now, that's what you got to go do.
Oh gosh,
Right.
yeah.
And you know, the people I'm talking to know that I'm talking to them, right? And it's like the thing that's in the back of your mind of like, man, I really don't want to have to go do that. Go do that. That's it. Right. But you know, the hard way is the only way, right? There is no silver bullet to get there. Go do the hard thing. You know, the quote I love, you talked about the seed earlier. I don't know, I was reading a book somewhere, but it said, you never reap in the season that you sow.
No,
And
gosh, no.
nothing in life works that way, right? And so right
Nope.
now we're in this season of sowing, and you don't, you know, the farmer doesn't go sow the seed in March and go pull the harvest at the end of March or April, right? Like you sow in a season and you harvest in a season. If you read throughout the Bible, you'll see that show up again and again and again in terms of there are certain seasons in your life. And so just be content with the fact that you are getting an opportunity to sow, that you're getting a, you know, something happened to me this morning, and this is where I'm trying to make my mind stronger. And I just said, I just learned one more way not to invent the light bulb,
Yeah.
right? Like it
Yeah.
sucked, and I'm going like that bites, right? I had a big client leave me, and I said, all right, right, I'm trying to build this thing, and I just found one more way not to invent, not to make a light bulb. And I go, it's almost how you have to think about it to have that mental fortitude, that perseverance. And I just want everybody to know, you know, Aaron and I are having this conversation because we said, you know, you walk up to somebody and hey, how you, and you got this superficial level going on with everybody, and none of
Yeah.
us are having this deeper conversation. So we want to get on here, guys, and be able to kind of share just the real truth of our story, so that everyone understands that like you're not alone, that we can still be positive and still be excited about what the day is bringing, independent of the nuances going on throughout the day. Happiness is a choice. Compartmentalize it. You are not your business. You are not your thoughts. You are not any of those things. You are good enough. The words that you tell yourself are super important. We've all got to find a way to band together and kind of muscle our way through this. And like Aaron said, surround yourself with big thinkers. And like you said, I love that, commiserating with the misery. You will, man. That's a death spiral, right? You
Yeah.
just see
Yeah.
that go up. Aaron, what's one thing that you're doing right now? What's your morning routine like, or what are you doing to try to keep your mindset where it needs to be as you kind of fortify and rebuild?
So I've had the same morning routine probably since 2022. I'm up at 5. I'm up at 5. I drink water first thing when I get up in the morning. I hydrate first thing in the morning. Do some push-ups in the morning. I meditate in the morning. I read at least a chapter in a book in the morning. I journal and I write down my goals. That's my morning routine, and it's pretty steady, 7 days a week. I've been doing that, like I said, for 2 years. And I will tell you, if you've not read the book, The 5 a.m. Club, that's where it started. Because I promise you, I was the opposite of a morning person. I mean, I was a police officer in Nashville for 13 years and worked midnights, almost 9 years of those 13 years. And my first week of working day shift started at 6:30 in the morning. I was late every single day because I just couldn't get up. So everybody can be a morning person is my point. But man, I cannot impress on you enough. You said this earlier. If you just get up and speak words of affirmation to yourself in the morning, drink water and speak words of affirmation to yourself. Tell yourself you love yourself. And that's funny. I'm gonna say this, and then we can jump off here. I saw this on TikTok the other day, and the guy said to create new neural pathways. He said this is one way to do it. He said brush your teeth in the morning with your opposite hand for 30 days in a row. Brush your teeth with your opposite hand, and then look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you love yourself 10 times. Okay. And I've been doing that. I've been brushing my teeth left-handed. I promise you, it is almost, and I'm ambidextrous to a large degree, and brushing my teeth left-handed is almost impossible. So I've added that to my morning routine, and I'm telling myself I love myself 10 times in the morning because we are going to get through this. I promise.
Yeah.
And we're going to come through this better than we were when we got into it, and that's what I'm believing. That's what I'm affirming.
Yeah. Yeah. The person that you need to become needs to go through what you're going through
Yep.
right now. I love that, man. I'll tell you guys, if you're like me, all this morning routine stuff is always a challenge. Sometimes I'm great at journaling, sometimes I'm not, sometimes I'm great at reading, sometimes I'm not. I'm going to try the left-handed toothbrushing thing, but it sounds like patting your head and rubbing your belly at the same time.
Your right hand's going to try to jump in and grab it out of your left hand. It's the craziest. It's crazy.
Yeah, who was it the other day? Mel Robbins said, to look yourself in the mirror every morning. And she said something like 70% of people can't do it.
Yeah.
That really struggle to look themselves in the eye, in the mirror because they don't
Yeah.
like the person that's there. And you go like, man, that just breaks my heart, right? Because if nothing else, you got that one person that's going to be with you forever, right? It's you, and to me, it's what makes my faith so important
Yeah.
is that Christ has been the same as he ever was, always is, and always will be, and knowing that consistency over the 40 years of my life, and that it's me and him are the only two people I've ever known my whole life, and so you got to think about that in terms of like, how are you talking to yourself? What are you
Yeah.
choosing to believe? Are you listening to some Yahoo? Like me and Aaron on a podcast here, or are you listening to yourself, and what is yourself telling you? Aaron, brother, I appreciate you sharing some more time with me, and always good to catch up. Hopefully, this helps and makes an impact on somebody's life. I know you always do.
Yeah. Enjoyed it, David. Thanks again, and y'all keep your chins up. You got this.
Show enough. See you, brother.
All right, man.